Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we're going to check out another brand new PNSO release, and this is a really exciting one because it is a species of dinosaur that I do not, and most people probably do not have in their collection. We are going to check out Mungo the Meraxes, and it looks awesome because on top of being just a really beautiful sculpt, I love the paint scheme they've given this one because it feels like they kind of went out of their comfort zone a little bit as far as the tones of color they use. You see a lot of browns, you see a lot of grays and stuff like that when it comes to the PNSO models, and I think they always look incredible. They always look really realistic, but it is nice to see them kind of go out of their comfort zone once in a while and take a chance on something. And honestly, from what I can see here, it looks like they hit a home run as far as when they do go out of their comfort zone, because we have some really cool bluish tones on this one that I definitely am a big fan of. But as far as the box art goes, you can see it's pretty much your standard with a nice image of the dinosaur and of course the species name and the PNSO logo. Up here on the top, you can again see another really cool image there of our Meraxes. Same thing pretty much when you turn it around. You're not going to see much of anything different on any of the other sides. Well, we do have a shot here of the head over here on the side, and then just some information there on the bottom. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box, and check it out. So as always, as soon as we open it up, we've got the stand that is always included with PNSO figures, just in case you have any balancing issues. On top of that, we've also got the booklet, something that you'll always find with your PNSO releases. We have a nice silhouette there of the dinosaur as we move in. We usually have quite a bit of kind of dino toy photography, basically like a photo shoot, so not even really dino toy photography, just some really gorgeous images of the dinosaur as you move along. You've got a nice, whoop, I lost it. You've got a nice shot there of the skull of the dinosaur, and you can also see just generally looking there at the two, between the figure and the skull, you can get a good idea of how accurate it is. Here's a really cool image of the Meraxes, looking pretty much actually just like the figure as far as the sculpt and color scheme, but kind of looking a little bit more like a real lifelike image, which is pretty darn cool. And then again, you'll see pretty much all that same stuff as you move through, and it's always loaded with all kinds of information, all kinds of really cool stuff. Definitely worth checking out. If you do grab the figure, make sure you read this. It's awesome. And again, I really love those booklets. They always include so much information and really cool imagery. And then we've also got ourselves a poster, which I'm very excited to check out. And the poster actually looks to be that same image we had just seen a moment ago. So if we can get kind of a nice shot of it without the light killing it. It's a little hard actually, but you can see it's pretty much that image that we had just seen on the inside of the book a moment ago, and it definitely looks really cool. I don't know if that's going to help. The light's really, for some reason, taking this picture out because of the dark background. It's just glaring off of it so badly, but pretty much the same poster again as far as that image we had just seen inside the booklet. And then we've got our Meraxes itself, and there we are. And look at how beautiful that is. Wow, looking at it here first, out of the package, like, I'm really impressed with those purples. I don't think I really noticed those purples so much on the prototype. I think it was, like, I almost assumed they were grayish tones, but here in hand, they are without question really nice looking purplish tones. And it's not often that you can apply a purple to a dinosaur, especially a theropod, and make it look natural, but I definitely think PNSO has succeeded in doing that here with this figure. Of course, the sculpt is fantastic. We knew that would be the case coming in after all of the images, but you never truly can tell how good the factory paint job's going to be until you see it in person. And, wow, that's really nice. PNSO just always impresses me with how good their paint apps are and have been for quite some time. I feel like they are just always improving time after time with each and every release. So that is awesome looking. Really psyched to get a closer look at it, so let's go ahead and jump to it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Meraxes, you can see again we've got all of that kind of classic skin texture, skin detail you often find on PNSO theropods, and you can really see again how super impressive the fine detail is. Like when you look at those really fine, very small scales, they just jump off of the sculpt. Again, incredibly impressive as far as the fine detail goes. And then of course as you lead up toward the snout, you get these larger scales that you again also often see portrayed on PNSO theropods, and I think it looks great. I love that we have this kind of darker tone, like a black that's been dry brushed over those larger scales to really highlight those quite nicely. But I think now that we're taking a closer look, you can really see how nice those purplish tones are here in the face. Like we have a nice darker purple up here in the face. It looks really cool You can also see some darker tones of color there around the eye, in the eye socket area. The eye itself is painted quite nicely with a yellow, given a black pupil, very perfectly placed, very nicely placed, and again, given a nice gloss coat so it shines quite realistically. You can also take notice to the nostrils as well as the ear there. As you move along the head sculpt, the jaw is articulated as always when it comes to a PNSO release. We have a nice pinkish tone there for the skin on the inside of the mouth. Nice gloss coat that's already shining quite nicely, giving it that nice saliva-like look. You can see all the teeth are sculpted individually. They all look really well done. Very nice and very carefully painted as well, with kind of like a light whitish tone, like an off-white maybe. And there you can see the teeth on the inside of the mouth as well, painted, again, very nicely. And if you take a look over here, you can see all the teeth again look great. There's no sloppiness, and I don't think that's something you'll ever really find on a PNSO model. Like, I can't even remember the last time I had seen a PNSO model that had even a slight amount of sloppiness to it. Their paintwork is always really well done. You can also see we've got a nice reddish wash to the tongue, highlighting all of that beautiful detail in there. You can also see, again, the gloss coat shining. And I'm always so psyched to see the inside of the mouth. Look at that. That looks insanely realistic. The actual fine detail on the inside of the mouth of a PNSO model is consistently mind-blowing. Like, that is just incredible looking. And also, again, really nice looking gloss coat has been applied. As you start to move back a little further into the neck region of the dinosaur, you can see some slight wrinkling and some slight creasing. Quite a bit as far as that going on here in the neck region. The dinosaur does have its head turned to the left quite sharply, so of course it would be wrinkling the skin up and everything right there. You can also see as we lead up here to the top of the head, we have some of those really dark grayish tones, but as we lead back here, those dark grayish tones kind of break up and they become more of a striping effect. And as we lead into the neck, you start to see some really nice light purplish tones, and they look so cool and play off of those bluish tones really nicely. You can see the blue picking up here in the side of the neck, the purple leading along the back of the dinosaur. And then as you continue to move down, you can see those dark grays, how they kind of stripe and design all through the course of the model. You've got like very small osteoderms you can pick up on here and there. Again, look at how nice that scale detail looks. It looks incredible as you look at it here on the side of the stomach region. I also love that as you look here at the purplish tones, they start to kind of transition really gradually to a light gray. So by the time you hit the hip region, you can see the purple has kind of faded away and we've now transitioned into a light gray. That might be one of the smoothest transitions I've ever seen on a model. But as you move down again into the side of the stomach here, you can see all kinds of incredible skin detail. I think that the PNSO models might hold my favorite spot as far as companies that produce the most realistic and most impressive skin detail. They always have just mind-blowing amounts of skin wrinkles and skin folds and, of course, scale detail. As you lead here toward the arm, you can see some wrinkling there back behind the arm because the arm's kind of held into the body in a very nice naturalistic way. You can see the arms are nice and short like you would expect them to be. We've got 3 digits. Kind of looks like we might have some scoots moving down the fingers, but they're pretty small. It's a little hard to see. And the nails are painted with what looks to be a grayish tone. They all look really nice. You can see how it transitions very subtly to a darker tone for the hand. Not too dark, but definitely slightly darker. But as you move back up here, you can continue to see that nice pattern moving through. You can also see more of those bluish tones, more skin wrinkles and stuff in front of the hip region. The hip itself is nicely displayed right there. You can also take notice to the spinal column moving down along the back. More of those stripes, again, leading through those gorgeous blues. As you move down, you've got even more skin wrinkles here in the thigh. The muscle definition as well is nicely displayed there. And as you lead down into that nice impressive calf muscle, you can see we transition from the blues to a grayish tone, and then we transition back from that grayish tone to a darker gray, which seems to have been very nicely dry brushed over, or we have a light wash to. One of the two has been done to really highlight the detail down here. You can see the nice scoots running down the front of the foot down into the toes. Super bird-like foot sculpt as well. You've also, again, got those grays for the nails. The nails are painted quite nicely, and you have that almost trademark claw that you see on Meraxes right there. Nicely added to the foot sculpt there of our dinosaur. And then as you lead back up, you've got some more skin wrinkling and creasing and everything as you lead out there. You can kind of see how the skin stretching off of the tail as the leg leads forward. And then leading out into the tail, again, you see more of those nice bluish tones. You have the lighter gray moving along the top, and again, that black or dark gray designing through. You can see a really nice looking, quite elegant curve to the tail as you lead out You can see again from the upper side, it looks really good. And the patterning, as always with PNSO, looks super crisp. Like it's just as naturally applied as it honestly could get. And I always feel like with something like that, so intricate as far as all that patterning goes, it could easily look like paint on a figure, but it does not. It absolutely looks like body color. And another thing that's really cool about this figure that I'm noticing is there's a nice dark wash that's been applied, and I don't know how good it's picking up on camera, but I can definitely see it here in person. It's super subtle, but highlights the detail perfectly as far as the way it's applied. As you move along the underside, again, the skin detail looks really, really nice. We also have a cloaca right there, and there's quite a bit of color variation on the underside here. Like you can see purplish tones and stuff popping up on the underside, as well as even a light blue in the stomach region right there. Again, some more purplish tones. Really, really nice, very subtle differences in color here on the underside of the dinosaur. The paintwork is just honestly beyond impressive on this. And then as you look at the paint job over here, again on the opposing side of the head, it all looks really nice, really crisp, very nice and precise like we had seen on the initial side. You've got the eye paint again, looking really good right there. You also have a grayish tone for the lower jaw, in case I didn't mention it, and even some more purples here on the underside of the throat. But as you lead back here into the neck, you see, again, the same kind of creasing and wrinkling, but maybe a little bit more so tensing and stretching over here compared to what we saw on the initial side. More of that cool design, that cool patterning as you move down. And then you can again see the arms pretty much in the exact same position over here, which is very nice to see. I really am not a big fan of seeing like arms in very crazy, super awkward positions on one side and then more natural on the other side. It's always great that PNSO has the arms so similarly sculpted. You can see they are slightly different as far as the pose, but they're, which, you know, of course adds a little extra life, I think, to the model, but they're held both in a similar position, which I do really quite like. And then as you continue to move down, again, you see more of that nice designing. The only thing that's really different over here, though, that you can see as far as the sculpt goes is the fact that the leg's trailing a little bit, so you can see the skin stretching there off of the stomach, leading out into the leg. Again, you can see all the same type of detail, all the same bone structure and everything when it comes to the hip bone and the musculature as you move down the course of the leg. The foot is picking up off of the ground, which you can see again as the toes are leaving the ground. You can see that larger claw right there. You can also see we have dew claws, which is definitely nice to see. And then as we lead back up here, you again have the wrinkling of the skin in the back of the thigh leading into the tail as we lead out into that really super elegant, gorgeous tail. And we also again can see that we transition from the bluish tones to an entirely kind of like a light gray tail with that darker striping. So that is absolutely gorgeous. Really happy that they chose such a beautiful color scheme for this one, because it definitely helps this figure to stand out and also proves that when PNSO kind of leaves their comfort zone of browns and grays and stuff like that, that they still excel at everything they do. And again, as I had noted earlier, you do have that stand to hold it up, but it seems to stand pretty nicely so far, fresh out of the packaging. As far as a size goes, for a length, you were looking at about 12 inches or about 30.5 centimeters. And then for a height, a little over 4 inches, maybe approaching 4.25 or about 10.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Golovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Meraxes from PNSO. And you can definitely see, again, it's a pretty decently sized figure. Honestly, the size is, I would say, exactly where I expected it to be. So if you are familiar with the species, you'll definitely have a pretty good idea as far as a size goes on this one already. But if not, then maybe these figures will help you out. And then for a comparison right out of the gates that I think many people would want to see, we have the recent PNSO Giganotosaurus here next to the Meraxes, and you can definitely see there is a bit of a size difference. The Giganotosaurus is obviously a bit larger overall, definitely significantly larger in the head sculpt, but a really cool comparison nonetheless. But for another comparison, there is the PNSO Carcharodontosaurus next to the Meraxes. Again, another really cool PNSO release standing in for a size comparison. We have everyone's favorite Tyrannosaurus Rexes. We have Wilson the Tyrannosaurus Rex next to the Meraxes, again showing you that the Rex is a bit larger like you would expect it to be, but you know, the Meraxes is pretty close behind as far as a size. Definitely a decent size overall. Then for another comparison, we've got the Meraxes next to the Carnotaurus from PNSO, if you happen to have that Carno. We've also got our PNSO Spinosaurus here, stepping in for yet another comparison, as well as the Acrocanthosaurus from PNSO for, again, yet another PNSO comparison. We've had quite a few PNSO comparisons because I have no other Meraxes figures in my collection at all, so it's probably best just to compare it with other PNSO models, except for the randoms, which I've been using for many comparisons lately because we have 3 different figures from 3 different companies, and hopefully you will have at least one of them if you didn't have any of the others, as we have the Collectaid Dimetrodon, the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, and Schleich Diabloceratops next to our incredible PNSO Meraxes, just to again help give you one last idea of a size. So this brand new PNSO Meraxes model is gorgeous. Definitely one of my favorite models to come from them in a very long time, which is pretty impressive because they always have incredible models, but this one specifically, that paint job, I just love it. I love it so much I can't even begin to tell you guys how much I love it. The purple and bluish tones on this look so incredible here in person, and not only that, but the way that it so smoothly transitions out toward the tail with that kind of lighter gray or like an off-white, and then leads out into the tail again, continuing to transition to that lighter tone where it pretty much overtakes the tail, and then of course we have that gorgeous patterning moving through. It just looks so good. Really is a standout piece for sure. Like if you have a bunch of PNSO models all in one spot, I feel like this one's really going to stand out, really going to jump out at people because of how good and how incredible that paint scheme looks and that paint job. The paint job itself is really nicely applied. Again, all of the coloration has super smooth, very realistic transitions. The actual patterning with the darker tones looks great. All of it looks incredibly natural. It's all tied together nicely with a nice dark wash on top of everything. So realism galore as far as the paintwork goes. The sculpt as well is incredible, and I expect no less when it comes to a PNSO release. Again, as I said earlier, I would say they're probably my favorite when it comes to actual skin detail on any company that produces dinosaur figures. I feel like PNSO skin texture and skin detail is always the most impressive, and I think that's quite obvious as you move through the course of this Meraxes. The fine detail is amazing on this. Again, really crisp, really impressive sculpt and detail that shines pretty much as nicely as that paint job does. The size is also quite nice because it's not massive, but it's not small. It's pretty much a perfect size. On top of that, it stands very nicely. No balancing issues with this one at all so far. And on top of that, you also have the extras like the booklet, the incredible poster, and of course a little peg-like stand just to help you in case it does encounter any sort of balancing issues in the future. You've always got that as a backup to help you display your awesome Meraxes model. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include links in the description to both the PNSO Aliexpress store as well as the PNSO Amazon store, so you can head on over there right now, go grab this awesome Meraxes, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe before you do, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.